This week's Farm Basics is brought to you by SatShot.com. Satellites aren't just for NASA anymore. Use the power of satellite imagery to create variable rate management zones in your fields. To reduce input costs and increase yields on your farm, go to SatShot.com.
During our Farm Basics time today, we wanted to talk a little bit about what farmers have to go through each and every fall to get their bins ready to hold grain.
Well, grain bins are a great asset on farms, but if you want to get the most out of them, you've got to start by cleaning them out completely at the end of the year. I don't just mean hauling away all the grain, I mean actually getting in there and physically getting every little kernel out of that bin. So if you've got a little bit stuck in a crack here or there, you may need to scrape that out of there or whatever. You may just need to sweep the bottom of the bin really well.
Well, why is that so important though?
Well, if you leave a little bit of grain in there, you have a chance for mold and you have a chance for insects to impact next year's crop, and you just don't want to have that. And also, you've got a chance for contamination. Maybe you got a few little beans in there here and there, and you're going to put corn into that bin. Well, you don't want to have that. If you're going to have corn in the bin, you want to make sure it's all cleaned out perfect, so it's just this year's corn that's in the bin.
Okay, so we talked about how that's important to prevent mold and diseases getting started. Let's get back to the insects thing. If you're going to get the grain bin ready for bugs, how should you do it?
Okay, first of all, around the outside of grain bins, we always need to keep them well maintained. So you need to mow around the outside of bins. What I like to do is spray a product like a Pramitol, for example, that's a ground sterilant. And I like to kill maybe a foot around the outside of the bins. That way I don't have weeds that insects can find a home in and potentially end up in my grain bin. Also, if there's rodents around at all, they will find grain. And so if I can keep things mowed up and then the last foot have it be just dirt, well, rodents don't really like to be seen very much. I want to keep them out of the bins if at all possible. But that's where we're going to debate
a little bit, because if you have that outside foot around the bin all dead, and it's just dirt, when you get lots of water coming off that grain bin all summer long, you end up with a little more erosion next to the bin. So for me, I don't like to do Darren's method. I just like to have it trimmed up and send the boy out there to trim right around
the outside edge, or some landscaping if you want to. That's fine, or some wood chips. No problem. Anyway, just make sure you have it cleaned up around the outside of the bin, because that's where a lot of the problems start. So I would spray some insecticide like a Tempo when you're spraying your yard and around your home. Just go around the grain bins too. Spray some Tempo out there so you don't have insects getting into that grain. Then on the inside of the bin, you want to use an insecticide as well. This is your chance to get the bottom treated in this bin. This is your one chance. Once you fill it up with grain, all you can do is treat it on the top. So you want to make sure you're spraying around the bottom with something safe, like a Tempo, for example,
or malathion,
or Actelic, one of those products that you can put down around the bin, and it's safe to have grain go in that bin without any issue of residues that are going to impact food supply down the road or livestock feed down the road. So you can spray any of those in and around the bin. Pay special attention to doors that access into the bin, because that's where insects are probably going to come. Get all that sprayed. Now, make sure you've got a good seal around the bottom of that bin so you don't have water leaking in or a place where insects or rodents can crawl in. So if you need to redo that seal, there are a number of different ways. You can do it with tar, you can do it with some sort of fabric that you can put around and then apply some sort of a sticker around the top of that. There are many different ways, but just make sure that bottom of the bin is really sealed up, and you should be good to go.
Well, you're not good to go yet, because you got to inspect inside that bin. When you're in the bin, before you spray the insecticide, you want to check and make sure the roof looks good, that all the linings look good, that all the doors look good, all the manholes, every place has got to be able to be sealed up great. And coming back to that insecticide, when you're spraying the insecticide in the bin, that's the last thing you want to do. So you want to get everything else taken care of, get the bin all sealed up, get it tightened up, everything you need to do, no holes, no way water can get in. Then you spray that insecticide. We usually spray the bottom few feet of the walls and definitely all of the floor. We want to control all the bugs now and leave residual to kill bugs for a while so we don't have any insect problems. We've used the same strategy for many years on our farm. We've never ever had an insect problem in grain. So you want to follow this, and as soon as you get that insecticide sprayed, you get out of there, you seal that bin up, and now you are ready to go for harvest.
One last thing, if you've got an auger at the bottom of the bin that's going to unload the grain to get it out, this is your one chance to make sure that works good. You don't want to have a full bin of grain, turn on the auger to unload from the bottom, and it's plugged up or it doesn't work. So make sure you service that which should probably be the first thing that you do when you're getting a bin ready.
Well, all those steps are really important for getting a grain bin ready, and farmers have to do that each and every year to make sure that they store and preserve their grain in good shape. It's kind of like when you put money in the bank, you just expect to get your money out. Well, this is money that a farmer's putting in the bin. The only problem is he might not get that money back out if he gets mold or insects or any other problem in there.
One other big concern farmers have at this time of year is controlling those last few weeds that are out there. We'll show you how to control this tough weed coming up later in the show.